Got it.
All right. Well, here we are, Connor. We are live here on Friend Stream Sports. I don't know if anyone stuck around to stick with us, so it may be just you and me tonight for a little bit. We might do a little bit of a shortened show since our normal audience is probably shipped off for the evening. But it's World Series here. We had a great Soler took off and hit really good and had a single home run.
If I'm on mute. Oh, wait, hold on.
If I'm on mute.
There it is.
Hold on. If I'm on mute.
What up, dude?
Did you allow my audio?
I got you, homie.
Okay. So anyways, as I was saying, we're a little late here. We might do a shortened Friend Stream Sports because I think our 8 o'clock audience has moved on to watching the World Series themselves. But Soler's had a solo home run. It's currently 2-0 by Atlanta here in game 1, top of the first, only 1 out. Atlanta's coming out hot. This is not the team that they're known to be. These bats are going here in Houston, and it's supposed to be the Astros strength more. It's supposed to be the Braves strength. So these kids are hungry.
Yeah, but Rutledge, it's all about who's hot right now, and I think that the Dodgers or the Braves are absolutely just flying high. Due to them beating the Dodgers.
Yep. Sports are all about momentum here. So this is, of course, a very momentously big season. If you think about for the city of Atlanta, and while living here in the South Carolina, Georgia region that I do, we didn't talk about this, but the last time Atlanta was in Houston, they had a little bit go south for them. They had the poor situation of having what some would call the greatest Super Bowl comeback of all time. But it's to the point that the Atlanta fans can't get over such a really bad loss to the New England Patriots that I know to watch a win in Houston is a very big deal. But we'll kind of see what happens.
We got a curveball there that went way outside.
Way outside. Houston's pitching is looking a little nervous. Of course, that solo shot home run will really mess you up.
No doubt.
I wanted to sort of draw attention to, Atlanta was an 87-win team this year. And when we talked through and did all of our teams through, we didn't really actually grace a lot of Atlanta. What do you think happened with the Braves to where we gave them some neglect, but then all of a sudden they're in the World Series for the first time since the 90s?
Yeah, I think that you've got, I think it's literally, and the big thing about baseball, it is such a long, long season. I think you had a variety of things come into play. I think part of the story, I think you do have to talk about the New York Mets in that they really, they kind of faltered there. They started out so hot. So kind of that muddied up the division. And when you have a muddy division, that allows a team to sort of sneak in the back door. That does not mean that the Braves, it's not like they're bad by any stretch. Between Freddie Freeman, and a variety of other players, they've got some people, as my old offensive coordinator in college used to say. But it's baseball is all about getting hot at the right time. It's like always how the Rockies seem to, from time to time, make it into the playoffs.
So yeah, it definitely is about heating up when things cool down. I also want to say that for Atlanta, they did 2 things really well this year. And that was they were probably the best acquirers in free agency. And to your point, they got hot at the right time. They went on a 16-2 run that started on August 3rd, including a 9-0 road trip. And they had a winning average of .667. So they won over 50% of their games after acquiring all their new players in trade. Rosario was probably one of their biggest people to pick up, as he really sort of took them off for them.
Oh, absolutely.
And, big for him to come in and become a large part of this roster, become a part of this offense. I think they put it together in the right way, because as Ronald Acuna Jr. got hurt, remember, we both wrote off the Atlanta Braves. Once Acuna got hurt, Friend Stream Sports kind of looked the other way. And that was in mid-June. And now here we are seeing them kind of click it together. Out of all the Atlanta Braves, before we talk about Houston, Connor, I want your thoughts on the one and the only, the longest tenured player on the team. That's Freddie Freeman. His contract expires this year. What do you think that are, depending on how the World Series goes, what are the implications for Freddie Freeman?
Let's look up a couple stats here on Mr. Freeman. I think he is sort of the unsung leader of the team, right? He's not that old. You know how old Freddie Freeman is?
Isn't Freddie Freeman 34?
Freddie Freeman is younger than you, Rutledge.
How old is Freddie Freeman?
He is 32 years old.
Dang, he is younger than me.
He is actually younger than me, born in 1989, at 32 years old. And Ronan is really wanting to be involved in the show tonight. Ronan is missing his mommy, Betsy. So he is all about it. So no, I think, there's still some juice left there with Freeman. I think baseball tends to have a sort of a mentality where they will pay a player for what they have done as opposed to what you think that they will do. So I think, there could very well be a nod to Freddie Freeman, by the Braves because there's no salary cap.
Do you think Freddie Freeman is worth big money?
What's big money? Like a 10-year, 250 million sort of contract?
Yeah, your big money contracts. Your big things for like
Bryce
Harper.
I don't. What do you think?
I think that it depends. If Freddie Freeman helps bring in a World Series to the city of Atlanta, I think Atlanta will keep him. Atlanta will keep him and pay him big money. If he decides to go elsewhere, which would be very tough to see him kind of do because he strikes me as just one of those loyal people, it's just going to depend on if that team needs a good first baseman because he has great stretch. He's really great on the defense. He's overall a very consistent player. All this year he's been kind of down. So I think he could be worth kind of big money to it. Now, the next thing to talk about this evening is, of course, we talk about the Davids and the Goliaths and the heroes and the villains. There is no bigger villain than the trash can banging, pitch calling scoundrels that are the Houston Astros. But if we think about it in a different perspective, they're also 3 out of 5. They're in their third World Series in 5 years. So are we looking at a team that is just getting lucky, or are we looking at a team that is really kind of built on some skill, even though they were led astray?
I would say, this year in particular, like you can't say that it was all luck. You can't say it was all the cheating scandal there with the Astros. There are sources that tell me that, in one way, shape, or form, you got a lot of guys in Major League Baseball that are looking for an edge, and the Astros just did it looking for an edge as a team, and that got them caught. So, I think that you've got I think you do have some really good players. I think that also kind of being branded as the villains, Roro liked that take right there. I think being branded as the villains allows Houston to allow that team to really come together as a team and sort of have a Houston versus everybody mentality, which is really a really good thing and a really good thing to have.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be big on them to see, of course, how big the bats light up. How big is Altuve? How big are other players in the lineup? How well they hit? Because the Braves have a really good pitching staff, but these Houston Astros got to where they are because of one reason and one reason only. They can score runs and they can hit the baseball. So we have Altuve's actually up. It's currently bottom of the first. He's the first batter up, lead off, and it's 0-1 count. Now 0-2. He swung at something that went foul but came off inside. So
Rutledge, in between pitches, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Would you rather live by Hakuna Matata or YOLO?
Would I rather live by Hakuna Matata or YOLO? I would have to say, hold on. That was a wide out there strike called. I would have to say if I could do Hakuna Matata or YOLO, I would probably live it's better to live Hakuna Matata because living YOLO sounds expensive. You only live once until your credit card maxes out.
Yokomo, your credit card maxes out once.
Yeah. What about you, Connor?
Big swing there from Altuve. I think it would be nice to truly live with no worries. That's what I'm going to go with. Now, obviously one of the things that we know about being an adult is that there sure are worries. But that's what I would want is Hakuna Matata. Because YOLO doesn't just sound expensive, it sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it's dangerous whenever you
miles an hour, painting the edges there.
Michael Brantley here hit it well for 97 speed fastball. He's on first base. Houston have their first hit of the game. They're cruising through. Speaking of hits of game, of course, this World Series is going to be really glued into because there's a lot of hype behind it. Excuse me, in the baseball world, but I would have to say the college football world's looking kind of spicy. So I want to point out some couple games that you're going to have to be glued into this weekend as we continue to watch the World Series. Of course, there's a big top 10 matchup going on in East Lansing, Michigan, as the undefeated Michigan Wolverines take on the undefeated Michigan State Spartans. Connor, is this a battle of two great football teams, or is this just a battle of two easy schedules?
I think neither, Rutledge. Oh, nice little rip there. And that second baseman was in a nice position. So Houston's got a little juice on the wheels, as some folks would say, a little juice on the wheels for those Astros. I think that Michigan State and Michigan is, neither team is probably dynamic enough on offense to make a case to be a great team. But one of the things that we've seen in 2021 college football is, outside of Georgia, everybody's pretty flawed. Outside of Georgia, everybody can lose. And it's about really who shows up that day to play well. I don't know what it is. Michigan is obviously playing a lot better. They're getting back to the run game and playing defense. Michigan State is playing defense and running the football. So a lot of Big Ten type play there. And you know what? I mean, whoever wins, I think here's my first hot take of the night. Whoever wins, I mean, they could be in a position to, be in a playoff game, assuming they beat Ohio State, which, their win against Oregon looks less and less impressive. Yeah,
that's a very big deal there between Michigan State and Michigan to think about. If there's a reason that the powers that be booked it of two top 10 teams versus each other, looking down the road of the college football playoff, the College Football Playoff Committee debuts their rankings. I believe it was November the 7th, which is the second November in Tuesday. So we still have a little bit of November the 9th. We still have a little bit of football to be played. This year on the schedule, I don't want to call it a trap game because I think it's a fair game, but another big noon game. You're going to have to get up early to watch some football this week. Is actually going to be Cincinnati is going to seems like they can keep up with everyone, Tulane. I'm excited for this game to see because I think it'll really show us is Cincinnati not for real, but this will be a big test for them to kind of get people to understand who they are. We know they're undefeated. We know they've done well. Tulane, of course, hung in there with Oklahoma. That's not as big of a deal coming down the season as it was at the top of the season. But that's a big game on the schedule for early on for Saturday.
Oh yeah, it's always nice to see sort of the wheat separate from the chaff in those group of five matchups. And by the way, I've got a little bit of a hot take for you here, Rutledge. As Charlie Morton throws one, his command has been kind of all over the place. He's been outside, and then he put one right down the middle. So there's some guys that would have driven that, all the way from Houston into Katy, Texas. So my brother-in-law is at this game right now.
All right.
So good for him. He is a Braves fan. So he must be there for work. But a lot of good quality college football this weekend after kind of a snoozer last weekend. The hope was that they would have some upsets, and it kind of stayed pretty ho-hum. Who's not staying ho-hum right now is Alex Bregman there, as he fouled one off down that first base line. So Rutledge, do you know, I'll give you two guesses of where Alex Bregman is from.
What's the first guess?
You got to pick, man.
Is he from
Not
Illinois?
where fast people are from, obviously, because he just found out there. He's from, I'll give you're up because Alex Bregman's out. Albuquerque, New Mexico. So didn't know they had too many good baseball players down there.
Didn't realize they had too many good baseball players. Connor, I think you and I are our broadcast. I'm a little bit ahead of you because I am watching Alvarez here on a 1-0 count at the bottom of the first with 2 outs going on. What are you seeing on your TV?
Alvarez is just getting up to the plate here. So 2 outs, runner on second, Charlie Morton on the mound. And Rutledge, when was the first time that you had a situation where a friend was watching a game that was just a little bit ahead of you or a little bit behind you?
I remember this because I was in high school and I was on the phone with a friend and I was watching, I'm pretty sure it was the Georgia West Virginia Sugar Bowl, which took place in Atlanta because of the fact that the Superdome was a mess. And it was when the West Virginia had a really strong kick return against Georgia, which sort of was stealing the game. And we're watching it, and all I watch is them line up for the kick, and the person I was on the phone with just yell out a bunch of cuss words. And then in 25 seconds, I figured out what had happened.
Oh, geez. That's too funny.
Yeah. So my pitch count, here's a good example. My pitch count for Morton is at 15 right now. What is your pitch count?
14. Charlie
Okay.
Morton 1 pitch behind, but man, he is still struggling outside. So must be trying to get Houston to chase. But that's if he can get out of this inning, mission accomplished.
Of course, this is Charlie Morton's 4th team that he's had some good playoff success. So I think it's good to have your mature pitcher lead the way going into the series, especially with how big of a deal this World Series is for this not hodgepodge, but not veteran roster. So definitely big to see. And we walk. Spoiler alert, Connor. We are walking Alvarez.
Do you think, Rutledge, that for the Braves, it is tougher? Like there would be more pressure in game 1 of the World Series or the first game in Atlanta?
It's going to depend. I think it's going to be, to come to Atlanta is going to be 100% pressure to win at home. There's not going to be any, like, we can lose one, we can whatever, because if they take these games in Houston, they may be very close to sealing up the deal in Atlanta. But there's a ton of pressure here kind of from the fan base. I think Atlanta fans are not talking about what's happening because anytime they talk about what's happening, the team falls apart in Atlanta. Even go back to the Hawks this past playoff and Trae Young getting injured. What do you think, Ronan?
Ro, what do you think, bub?
So
Ro thinks that he kind of has my same thought, and it's your same thought. There's in some ways, being an athlete, especially I like to think about this sometimes, being a professional athlete from a city that's not your hometown. If you had guys from Georgia, right, that'd be one thing. Guys that saw, that would have been little kids at the time when the Braves won that 96 World Series, and they've heard the stories and things like that. But, I think ultimately it's a little bit of a, they're professionals, they're going to get out there and they're going to do their thing. But now that drive to the stadium when, folks are leaving their neighborhood and, there might be nice ritzy neighborhoods, but, folks still know where the baseball players are. And there might be those, even the most encouraging signs, might give that little tip of like, oh yeah, this is a huge, huge deal. And maybe make them play a little tight. So as opposed to, road trip is something where, it's just you and the team, you might, you have your spouse there, you'll have, as uncomfortable as a road game can be when you're in a position like Atlanta that is carrying a lot of sports stress upon its shoulders. A road game could in some ways be a little bit more comfortable. because you already know it's everybody against you. You already know you're getting booed. You already kind of baked that into the cake a little bit.
That's an interesting point. And I was thinking about this watching the pregame festivities. Is there was banners and fireworks, and they played the music from the Avengers and all this excitement. And that's got to feel a little different. The expression on the Atlanta players wasn't this nervous, but it almost seemed like this anxious, like, all right, are we done with all the pageantry? Can we go play baseball now? Because they were just standing there the whole time because they segued right into the national anthem.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing to see how it's opening up the World Series not at home is such a different feel than if you were to open it at home. But then when they just go to Atlanta, it's just going to become another baseball game for Truist Park and the Battery and having this new stadium. I wish it was at Turner Field, but those days have passed. I want to talk about something else not related to baseball. So we're looking, and I have at least the Fox broadcast for this. I don't know why, for some reason, we in the sports, by the way, that was a big ground pitcher that bounced. So now we have 2 runners in scoring position for the Astros. Was just a wild pitch by Morton. Here it comes. Get ready. I'll wait.
Oh, missed that. I guess I'm 2 pitches behind you because we had the 98-mile-an-hour pitch outside. Yeah. Charlie's he's still trying to paint those outside edges and get guys chasing. So we got a 2-2 count here. Charlie Morton on the mound. Rick Krantz asleep. Now he's up. And
tired tonight. Correa, did he just get hit?
There it is. Oh yeah, he let that one go.
Yeah. Now Morton hits Correa, so now it's bases loaded. We are in a hole here. Manager coming out on the field.
In 23 pitches so far, and you're not even out of the first inning. That's not good.
No.
One of the big things about the P in postseason baseball stands for pitching, right? I think in so many ways, big time bats get neutralized by big time pitchers having dominant performances, and hopefully Charlie can get out of this.
We really hope that whatever he delivers next is going to give some type of pop fly out, that we're at least going to not have anything go into scoring position and will come out, because bases loaded, 24 pitches in, 2 outs, bottom of the first, against a team that you just can't give them these opportunities. This is bad news for Atlanta. Kind of thankfully hit Correa, because Correa could have popped something off to where we would have had maybe even 3 runs on the board guaranteed. And that 2-0 lead, we're going to have to see how Atlanta responds coming back out here early. So, unrelated to the game, Connor, I want your opinion. And that is, looking here, graphically, I just don't understand why Fox has done the choice they have. You ever notice every single postseason, not in football, not in basketball, but for some reason in baseball, and so especially if you see old clips or something, we for some reason have to redo how the screen looks and how the 3 bases will look like and everything. What's your take on all of a sudden Fox is doing some weird graphics tonight that I just think are unnecessary?
I haven't noticed a difference. I think that you have so many. I don't know if he got hit by that pitch. You have so many different ways to shoot the game, right? And you're always trying to keep it fresh. And I think for baseball, right, especially if you're referring to the big wide shots that show all the people, we're off of a year where there was no fans, and then there was like a few fans, and then people are like, do we keep fans? And then people were like, do we make fans wear masks? And that's in the great state of Texas. And, Governor, not to get political, but Governor Abbott's going to let him in. He wants to see Houston with that championship there. And if you're referring to that sort of drone type shot, we've seen drone type technologies, really enhance the sports, the sports landscape. It allows you to kind of get a better feel of what it's like there in the stadium, maybe an angle that you might not have seen. So I personally think Fox usually does a really nice job with big sporting events. And so far, so good. Although I don't have the commentary on because I don't want to get any feedback. But big time third out by the Bravos in one inning, 1 out, 2 runs to nil.
2-0 coming out there. Yeah, I'm more referring like graphically. It seems like Fox will change the graphics and the numbers and what the score looks like on the screen and the pitch count and all that. They seem to morph that every single World Series. They change it. We have our first comment of the night from Steven. Steven the Steady is here on the show. He's basically, in a nice way that I'm not reading out loud, said that Morton can relax now that we got out of this first inning. Hello, Steven. Great to have you back.
Well, Rutledge, I got a question for you. What is your favorite, and Steven can answer this too, what is your favorite baseball type sport to play? So that could be kickball, could be wiffle ball, could be softball, could be Chicago style softball. What's kind of, when you're thinking of a, not baseball, but a baseball type game, what's the thing that really brings back the memories?
The one that I thought I would love and I'm not very good at is kickball. But to me, there's something about when you crush a wiffle ball off a wiffle ball bat that makes you feel like you just won the World Series. When you knock that thing out of the park and it just flies, or you get a really good smack behind it, that's just where you just feel like a champion. So I'm a big wiffle ball fan.
Nice. Yeah. For me, it was it was kickball. There was one summer, obviously baseball type games have to happen during the summer. There was one summer where I was working at a summer camp and they had a big kickball tournament. And I'm not going to lie, I ended up slotting into that sort of third base hot corner spot. And especially in the championship game, I had some key moments there and really helped my side win the championship. And I haven't won a ton of championships, Rutledge. So to be able to win that championship there on Kanakuk Hill, as the big burly offensive lineman, but showing the gazelle-like quickness to really hold that hot corner down was beautiful. And, there's a little bit of an equalizing factor, I think, as well, especially when you play in the co-ed portion.
Oh, you're crushing it with the co-eds.
Of course, dude. I mean, like every women's soccer player that was in that tournament, like kicked the ball better than I did, like on average. So
I believe it.
I could bench press more than they could, but they could sure take a kickball and put it right where they wanted to. So
there you go. Braves put a man on first as we start the second. Really nice shot of the Houston skyline here on TV. You can slowly see NRG Stadium mocking all the Atlanta fans. So, Connor, when do you think, if you were to think in the World Series perspective, what part of a baseball game do you need to be doing the best at in order to dominate in the World Series? Like, there's always, you think of it, the first 3 innings, the middle 3, and the back 3. Where is it that you need to sort of win the day in order to be doing really, really well?
Yeah, I think one of the beautiful things about baseball is that, and I know baseball gets a hard time because it's so slow and this, that, and the other, but like you have to record 27 outs. You can't play good baseball for 26 outs and then fall apart at the end. I think the very, very last portion of that game is where you got to be on it. I remember when I was a kiddo watching the Arizona Diamondbacks play the New York Yankees in the World Series. And it was one where the Diamondbacks won. So in back-to-back nights, if you remember, the closer, Mariano Rivera, when he got up to the mound, Yankees were up, and I kind of thought, oh, well, this is done. And back-to-back nights, I was proven wrong. So it was I think you got to be, obviously you can't dig yourself into too deep of a hole. You got to be staying in there and staying competitive. But man, the importance of the 27th out is just as important as the first out, and you can't forget that. And I think sometimes folks forget that.
I think that echoes really good. We have a new viewer tonight. Shout out to K Muns 11 is viewing us this evening, and this person drops in the chat that we are looking at the early and the late part of the game. Connor, I think you're into something right in that. I think this testament tonight, if Atlanta wins this game, this will show that you have to win the first couple innings and come out super hot in order to really kind of be able to make an impact. Those last 3 outs, especially if you're down and you're the away team, there's something about fan noise. We always talk about fan noise for different stadiums. There's something about when a fan base is all on their feet, the whole stadium screaming, and they're waiting for those last 3 outs of the baseball game. You just feel it for the other team that it's against them. The kind of likens it back to like the gladiator impressions of what it was like for them. See someone go in for the kill, because that closer is going in for the kill of that team. So
By the
I agree
way,
with you.
Jock Peterson, I'll be reporting here very shortly on why he wears a pearl necklace. Don't know if you noticed that. But he could play in the World Series as well as go to a play
About the World Series. Swanson just crushes one. Let's see if this goes, and caught on the warning track, but advanced 2 runners into scoring position. So Dansby Swanson with kind of the sacrifice all the way out to the roading the track. We are 2 on, 1 out for Atlanta, top of the second. The Braves have come out to play today. I've been impressed. I did a lot of reading. The pregame show for Fox didn't pick Atlanta. There's articles on ESPN not picking Atlanta. And there's a lot of people that are about to eat their hat as Atlanta seems to be making it. But good at least sacrifice hit from Dansby Swanson. Would have liked to see that go about another 20 feet and cross the wall so we could have counted that and put 3 more up on the board. This is where I say, has your TV caught up?
Nope, I'm just seeing Mr. Warning Track power.
Okay.
But apparently there is no reason for the Jock Peterson pearl necklace outside of him just being a baller. So
yep.
And him just deciding to do what he wants.
So I want to change gears and talk about another sport while we're sort of hanging out here, as this game is moseying along, and Atlanta is now 3-0 on Rutledge's TV. And that is, I want to go into, there are 2 big storylines to talk about in the NFL for 3 main teams. One we've covered, which is the Arizona Cardinals, and talked them a little bit, as they are 7-0 now and continue that march forward. The other team I want to save because it hurts my heart, but Connor, I want your take on, there's been a lot of munching out of the talking heads for the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs are sitting at 3-4. They are 3rd place in their division. They are tied with the Denver Broncos, and they are -15 for net points, including that they are 2 out of 3 in their last 5. So what's your take on the Chiefs?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has not been playing well. Not to say he's not a good quarterback, but he's had a rough stretch. And with a team like the Chiefs that, their defense is over the past couple of years has never been the strongest. I'm going to pull up their schedule here just so I can speak a little bit more intelligently to sort of who their next games are. But, I think if it's one thing to say that you like adversity, but, you got to turn it around at some point or else you're going to lose the season. And, I've been a part of football teams where the wheels kind of fell off. And I mean, you can feel that palpableness, each week. And, obviously I didn't play professionally. All professional athletes, are going to bring that professionalism to the game. But, there's definitely the difference when you kind of know the season's lost. So if you look ahead, you've got versus the Giants, which I think is going to be a pretty close game, versus Green Bay. Green Bay should win handedly. At Las Vegas and versus Dallas. I think that at Las Vegas and versus Dallas are going to be I mean, two huge games for the Chiefs. You know, Chiefs could maybe split, these next two here. But if they go 2-0, you get some good feelings going into Denver that they've kind of righted the ship. But if they even go 1-1 and just sort of keep humming along a little bit under 500, that's not going to be good.
No, and I think a big testimony of there's something going on there. Not only is their defense allowed 203 points, which is
historically bad, nearly historically
bad. That allows them the same amount of points allowed as the Houston Texans, and the only team that's allowed more points in the AFC is the Miami Dolphins. But also, it took the Chiefs until the third quarter to put up a field goal. They lost 27-3 against the Tennessee Titans. Not saying that I don't think Tennessee is the favorite for the AFC. I think we're still discovering who that is. The AFC is kind of wide open, but Tennessee is a contender. But to probably against a top 5 team in the AFC to have to take 3 quarters to score a touchdown, that's a Kansas City we have not seen for a very, very long time. You wonder if this is having the Andy Reid effect, to where, if we remember properly, the Philadelphia Eagles started to fall apart near the end of Mr. Andy Reid, as he had to ship on and ship out to find cheeseburgers elsewhere.
Rutledge, let me ask you this. You're talking about contender or pretender. Cincinnati Bengals, contender or pretender?
Cincinnati Bengals are very much contenders this year, because they have, Joe Burrow is showing that he's really sort of maturing, even though he's growing in the role. They did drafts and get a little bit of help for him, maybe not in the offensive line like we would have seen, but he's got a couple more weapons. He's on a better team, as they were horribly bad in order to get him. The team has improved and is moving in the right direction. Cleveland, as much as we don't like it here at French Stream Sports, Cleveland is not as good as Connor and I hoped. We thought Cleveland would be undefeated and on their way to the ship. Baltimore,
I don't know about that, but still pretty good.
Still pretty good. Baltimore is, I know they're 5-2, but I feel like it's not as good of a 5-2 as it should be. And then with Steelers sort of sitting at 3-3, they're not running the train there. So overall, as it goes, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are for real, and I think they don't have too much in their way.
Yeah, no, I mean, in division, they've already gone 2-0. Then they got the Jets this upcoming week. Then Cleveland. I think Cleveland, obviously, you're going to have to circle that one. If the Bengals start out, win these next two, move to 7-2 on the season, they're in a great position to keep it going. Pittsburgh's looking a little shaky, although it is the Mike Tomlin effect. He's never had a losing record. But this schedule isn't, oddly enough, this schedule towards the back end of the season doesn't seem too incredibly difficult. I guess that's what happens when you play a 4th place schedule. So, it'll be really fun to see. We could have an all B AFC title game with the Bengals and the Bills, because I think the Bills are, gonna continue to perform well.
Definitely a possibility for an all B Tennessee Titans game. Want to see as it goes. Now the score is 3-0, Atlanta versus Houston. Top of the second, 2 outs, bases loaded. And ball, that was a strike. I would disagree with you. Riley on the mound. Atlanta's going through the rotation. This Braves team, this is awesome.
They're here to play, my man.
They are here to play, and Houston actually has a reliever warming up. But strike 2. We are 1 strike away from the end of Atlanta in the second. So Connor, here as we're getting kind of in our last 3 minutes of our show this evening, want to see if we want to do any picks for the evening. We'll do a couple college games, and then we'll also pick an NFL game for next week. So of course, our first big college pick is Michigan versus Michigan State. Who are you taking?
Go green, baby. Michigan State is going to run the air out of the football and be a sledgehammer right in the face of those Michigan Wolverines.
I am actually going to go with Michigan on that. I think they're a little bit more for real, and they're not getting the support that people should get. In the other college ranks of the world, of course, you have Florida plays Georgia this weekend. Who are you taking for Florida versus Georgia?
I don't even know the line, but I'm sure Georgia's going to win and cover. I think Florida is very flawed, and I expect Georgia to win pretty easily.
Georgia is a 14-point favorite against Florida with an over/under of 51. I almost wonder if that's one of the largest ones in all of the Florida Georgia history, but I too would take Florida in that one, and not Florida. I'd take Georgia in that one as well. Our last
I've got a pick for you.
Okay.
Would you rather be without elbows or knees?
Would I rather be without elbows or knees? I'd rather be without knees.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that you're shorter? Like your leg just ends at your knee? Or does that mean that you just can't bend your leg?
Your arms and legs are the same length that they are now. You either just don't have elbows or don't have knees.
You know how horrible it would be to put on a shirt? I broke an elbow in the past couple of years, and I was without one elbow for a while. I'm not going without an elbow ever again.
So no knees.
So, yeah, try putting on your own pants when you don't have an elbow.
Hope you don't drop anything.
I mean, that's what like grabbers are for.
Oh, okay.
What would you be without? You'd be without elbows?
I just feel like it's not, it wouldn't be painful. You just had to walk around like this. So you could still write, you could still type, you could still shake hands with people.
You're already using your elbows.
And you'd eat with your face.
Because your
which
fork,
is pretty freaking awesome.
Your fork would be out here, and then
you would eat with
here.
your face. You wouldn't even need it.
How are you gonna have a sandwich?
Oddly with my face.
That's just what Subway looks like when you unwrap it. That someone tried to eat it without elbows.
Any other picks that you have?
You know what? Here's one for the weekend. This one I kind of want us to pick for fun, even though I think I know how it's gonna go. This is the Bucks versus the Saints in New Orleans. Last time the Bucks played in New Orleans, I got to have lots and lots of talk about how I didn't believe in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I am very wrong. Now, of course, this is the Jameis Winston team, which no slouch win against Seattle, but I just don't know this is the same how this feels. So how do you feel about here with the Bucks?
Yeah, I think the Bucks got to be going in as the favorite, and I think smart money's got to be on the Bucks. The Saints, they've been able to put together some wins, but and Saints are coming off of a short week now because they just played last night, and there's some pictures of Jameis Winston trying to lead with his big crazy eyes, but we are seeing. I think the Bucks are just coming in as what the Saints would have come into Tampa as a few years ago, which is a much more well-oiled machine.
Absolutely. Speaking of well-oiled machine, good defensive play where Freddie Freeman gets the ball and runs it back to first place. I wonder if Freddie Freeman would rather be without elbows or knees. He's got really long legs for a first baseman. So would it be more advantageous for him to be without knees because he could probably reach further on trying to get short?
Oh, absolutely without knees. You just have to do a lot of hamstring stretches.
That's a lot of hamstring stretches.
But speaking of hamstring stretches,
you know what? We didn't stretch out. We didn't stretch today and talk about Daddle's coffee, Connor.
Tell the people what they want to hear.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, as it goes out there in the world, if there's anything that's going to fix you up tomorrow morning when you stay up way too late watching the World Series, it's Daddle's coffee. They make a hand-roasted cup of coffee. They roast their own beans. They're based out of Winter Park, Florida, where Connor is. They make a delicious coffee that actually gives back to supporting the King Cavalier Spaniel. And you can get yours for 15% off using promo code FSS at daddlesonline.com. For all 30 of our followers out there, use promo code FSS and get 15% off your order.
Hey, would our subscribers on YouTube be able to get that too, or just our Twitch followers?
Our subscribers on YouTube as well. Anyone who hears the sweet, sultry sound of my voice can have a delicious cup of Daddles coffee at a great price for a great cause for the pause.
Oh, wonderful. Well, there's no better way to end a show than talking about daddles.
No better way.
So I hope everyone enjoys watching the rest of the World Series, and it was fun to watch us with you for a little bit.
Yeah. Until then, I'm Rutledge.
And I'm Connor.
Have a good night.
See ya.